Hey folks, I'm Chris and I'm your Commander Mechanic. We just got hit with the full reveal of the Stranger Things Secret Lair and it is a doozy. Before we take a look at the cards, let me remind you to hit that subscribe button. If you like this or any of my videos, it really helps support the channel's growth. Now, love or hate the alternate universes cards in Magic, these cards are here to stay and are undoubtedly part of our format. It's rare that you'll encounter these cards in the wild. This is a timed, limited Secret Lair drop after all. And if you do, then they really won't make a huge impact in your life. Let's take a look at each of these mechanically unique cards and what we can do to build a deck around each of them. First, let's look at our heroes, starting with 11 the Mage. 11 is a 4-mana, 3/5 Grixis human wizard that reads, your maximum hand size is 11. It's a good start. Whenever 11 attacks, you draw a card and lose 1 life. Then, if you have 11 or more cards in hand, you can cast an instant or sorcery spell for free. And of course, cheating mana values on cards is never busted, right? Finally, all of our heroes have Friends Forever, a type of limited partner ability that only lets them partner with other creatures with Friends Forever. Think of it as a partner with, but partners only with other creatures in this Secret Lair. Right away, 11 looks to be a bit on the higher power spectrum. A card draw engine and the ability to cast free spells? Pretty amazing. If I were to build around 11, I'd consider turning things up to 11. Wow, damn, okay. I'd include some higher power stuff like Necropotence in a deck with 11 since it lets you craft your hand up to 11 cards or higher, digging for something to cast off of that free attack trigger. Peer into the Abyss would be a good one too, letting you draw half your library at the cost of half your life, but essentially letting you craft the perfect 11 cards to keep in order to cast more free stuff. And what free stuff would we cast? Well, why not take a few extra turns? Time Stretch, Expropriate, and Time Warp are all perfectly viable free casts, letting us restock our hand and cast more free spells in our subsequent turns. This could turn into an Narset Enlightened Master style deck very quickly, where we're getting 11 cards and attacking, meaning no one else gets to take a turn ever. That is definitely powerful. Next up is Mike the Dungeon Master. Shame, it really sounds like he should have been released alongside Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, right? Mike is a 3-mana Selesnya 2/2 human that reads 2, tap, choose target creature in your graveyard that was put there this turn, return to the battlefield. And like each of these, Mike has Friends Forever as well. A little more simple than 11, Mike is like a repeatable Safi Eric's daughter in addition to pairing with 11 to create a 5-color deck. Being able to get back one-time sacrifice effects from creatures is very strong. Being able to recur a Dauntless Escort for repeated indestructible on all of your creatures as a baseline is pretty good value. I really think that Mike is going to be more of a support player than the star of his own show. Friends Forever for green and white is a really good start and really helpful alongside the rest of these companions. Next, we have Lucas the Sharpshooter. This 2-mana 1/3 Izzet human has the ability to tap and sacrifice an artifact to deal 1 damage to target creature and goad that creature. He also, of course, has Friends Forever. I love goad. It's such a great mechanic and getting a repeatable source on a commander is rare outside of Grenzo Havoc Razor or the new Karazakar the Eye Tyrant. Now of course, Lucas is going to want us to have a steady stream of artifacts, which our other Friends Forever that we'll take a look at in a moment can help with. But you know my favorite way to make a boatload of artifacts? Academy Manufactor. I'll try to restrain myself from mentioning my little robot buddy too much moving forward, but if you can create 3 times the artifact tokens you would normally create, you're going to have plenty to throw at opponents' creatures. Creating tokens regularly via a Tamio's journal would help fuel Lucas's ability. Think of it as him tearing out pages of the journal to roll up into spitballs. If you can find a way to reduce the toughness on opponents' creatures, Lucas can make for repeated removal too. It's just a shame that we can't get him in the same deck as a Vati Ildal. Next up is Max the Daredevil. Max is a 3-mana 3/2 Gruul human with haste. She reads, whenever you cast your second spell each turn, untap target creature, then investigate. And of course, she has Friends Forever. So here we have the first of our token generators. With all the mysteries floating around in Hawkins, Indiana, it's no wonder we're getting clue tokens being generated. Max here wants us to be close to Gruul Spellslinger, and with Friends Forever we can incorporate a few other colors into that plan too. A 3 to 4 color Spellslinger deck can work really well with these legends at the helm. If we're working on making a volume of tokens in red and green, I need to recommend token doublers like Doubling Season. It's not the cheapest card in the world, but you get twice the value from it. And if you're making artifacts regularly, we can take advantage of them with a grinding station or a reckless fireweaver to get some incidental value over time. I'd look to take a cue from some classic Spellslinger commanders that want to do the same thing. I did a breakdown of Is It Spellslingers linked up top, from which we can take a lot of inspiration. Our next friend forever is Dustin, Gadget, Genius. Dustin is a 4-mana Azorius 2/3 human that taps to add 2 colorless mana to our mana pool. However, we can only use this to activate abilities of artifacts or cast artifact spells. Dustin is almost a word-for-word color-shifted Dalikos Crafter of Wonders. While he costs more and doesn't give equipped creatures flying and haste, Dustin here gives us the ability to have many more colors at our disposal. At a minimum, Dustin gives us mana to pop our clue tokens that some of our other friends make, which is alright. Maybe not 4 mana alright, but it's alright. What Dustin's real use will be for is Voltron or Stax strategies. Dustin can give us the mana to cast or equip classics like Lightning Greaves or any of the Sword of X and Y cycle. That's decent on its own, but very strong when we get to use it to suit up an 11 while also adding white to the deck's color identity. From a stack standpoint, Dustin pays for Winter Orb or Static Orb while shrugging off the fact you can't untap your lands or only untapping 2 permanents. It helps break some of that parity and buys you enough time to work towards your other strategies. Then we have Will the Wise. Will the Wise is a 2-mana Orzhov human 1/2 creature that reads, when Will the Wise enters the battlefield, each opponent may investigate. Each opponent who doesn't loses 1 life. You investigate X+1 times, where X is the number of opponents who investigated. And naturally, Will is a friend forever. Blink. Blink, blink, blink. Anything that allows us to blink Will is going to be repeated value and a strong political tool. Most opponents won't be turning down the opportunity to investigate, so we'll be making a volume of tokens very fast. Teleportation Circle is a must-have here, a way to blink Will every turn and make plenty of clues each time. Along the same lines, we can have Conjurer's Closet, which can blink Will each turn to get us those sweet clues. And naturally, if we're making a volume of tokens, Academy Manufactor fits right at home here. With Manufacturer out, you'll definitely have opponents turning down the chance to investigate. Imagine making 4 clue tokens, turning into 4 clues, 4 food, and 4 treasures. To me, that's a dream come true. The last of our friends forever isn't one of the Fellowship, no, instead it's Big Chief Jim Hopper. Jim is a 4-mana 4/4 Boros human soldier who, appropriately, has Menace. When Jim attacks, investigate once for each non-token attacking creature. And of course, Jim is a forever friend. Now this one's another interesting one. I've already had a few people point out the parallels to Winota Joiner of Forces, and they aren't wrong. But the non-token creature rider on Jim limits this significantly. We need to focus on actual creatures attacking, so evasion will be key, not only on Jim, but on your other attacking creatures too. I think Reconnaissance will be the card to have with Jim out. Get the attack triggers on your team, then untap and remove them from combat. Easy enough. Risk-free multiple investigate triggers each turn. Sneak attacking creatures will be handy too. So Sneak Attack, Ilharg the Razeborg, or Perforos Bronzeblooded are all great ways to temporarily get much bigger, much more threatening creatures to attack with over and over. Paired with some of our other friends forever, and there's a lot of potential for some strong color combinations. Now lastly, we wouldn't have an adventuring party without an adversary. And in this secret lair, it takes the form of Mind Flayer the Shadow. This massive 7-mana legendary enchantment horror creature is reminiscent of the Theros gods, not always a creature, and you only get that massive 9/9 body if you control 3 permanents your opponents own. How do you do this? Well, at the beginning of each of your end steps, you exile the bottom card of each opponent's library face down. Only you get to see them. Then, you can cast permanent spells exiled this way and use any color mana to cast them. That's quite a few hoops to jump through in a mono black deck, but black is no stranger to stealing permanents. Typically out of graveyards, but look at Gonti Lord of Luxury as an example of other ways to take someone else's goodies. Mind Flayer here reminds me of a Grenzo Dungeon Warden meets Stolen Strategy. So we'll look at Grenzo for a few inspirations on how to get specific permanents onto the bottom of opponents' libraries. First, we should be filling graveyards. Our other path to getting more permanents from our opponents will be reanimation. Some healthy mill strategies like the recently reprinted Dread Summons will help get fodder into the yard. Then we can use some little known permanents like Junk Troller, Rieto Lantern, and Vessel of Endless Rest to ensure cards from opponents' yards end up on the bottom of their libraries where we want them. From there, it's a matter of casting that Soul Ring, or Esper Sentinel, or Rhystic Study that we conveniently exiled until Mind Flayer ends up a beefy swinging 9/9 coming directly for our opponent's life totals. These cards are all really interesting, but I'm wondering when we'll end up seeing their functional reprints in regular sets, as we've been promised. This Friends Forever business is a bit of a sticky flavor situation and might have a different name, but regardless, I'm intrigued. Let me know what you think about these Stranger Things cards in the comments below. Let me know what you're excited to build and what cards you'd include in their decks. As always, folks, good luck and have fun.